to speak first. We're going to hear two voices of pastors from the places in Virginia that are directly impacted by these proposed pipelines to talk about how their communities are responding, what they've been doing, and what their requests would be for Northern Virginia faith communities who want to stand in solidarity with them. Reverend Fleischer.
Thank you for the opportunity to share about the situation here, and I know Pastor Wilson will, I'm sure, feel the same way that I do on this. And it's been a long road. It has been 3 years of great challenge, and I like to kind of look at it in the sense of go through those same stages of grief that we're all familiar with from, I know myself, from Pastoral Care 101 type classes, and that, initially there's that shock stage and not sure what to do as information is sketchy, and there's this anxiety, there's much fear that's driving the bus, as very limited information, and in the matter of the MVP, the routes have changed quite a bit over the course of these 3 years. And it's interesting how the most recent iteration has it coming right to the middle of the village. So it's actually gotten, with each time that they've proposed it, it's gotten closer and closer to the heart of the village of Newport. I'm looking out my office window here at the church, and it's about 200 feet or so to where the pipeline would cross Route 42 here in our corner of Giles County. So we have signs up that designate the different the incineration zone, and I'm standing right in the middle of the incineration zone here in our 167-year-old church. So we are right in the middle of this pipeline, this proposed pipeline coming through the Mountain Valley. As far as what the church has been involved, I think we've primarily, one of our primary things has been a place of conversation, a place of gathering information. We've had two groups in the community that have been kind of leading us on the charge against this, working several different angles. We have Preserve Giles that's predominantly worked the environmental angle, and they have sought out the expertise of a preeminent cartographer over at Radford University, as well as some geological professors at Virginia Tech, all who know this area well, the karst cartography and the challenges involved there, as well as for the streams and for wildlife and other things. The other group has preserved historic Newport properties, has kind of approached it from the historical angle, and that we are a historic district, and if you can put a pipeline right through the middle of a historic district, then why be designated historic in the first place? So they've been working those kind of different angles on this. So I guess initially with the fear, with the anxiety, pastoral care has been kind of one of the primary places that I've been engaged. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and actually a lot of anger as part of this as well, especially the idea of people taking property by eminent domain. And many of these folks are generational, living on farms that their ancestors came to this area, who purchased and worked the land and worked so hard. And many of these are springs that have probably been here for hundreds and hundreds of years, that have provided water for their homes, for their animals, and they're rightfully so fearful of what could happen if the pipeline comes through. It's also been an opportunity, too, for some, what I call education about stewardship of the environment and how we understand the creation stories from the Judeo-Christian heritage in Genesis 1 and 2. We've had the opportunity to look deeply at the Genesis stories and see what is God really trying to help us understand about how we are to treat creation, that which God called good and enjoyed on that seventh day and rested and took delight and joy in. And so I've tried to use it as an opportunity for looking at the larger picture of how we are to treat and care for that which God has given to us, and look at the difference between using and abusing, and dominion and domination, and that there are different understandings and how we need to look at that. So again, addressing fear, trying to be a place where these groups can meet. We've A group came in back in March. We had a full church here, about 120 people, when Historic Virginia listed Newport as one of the 3 most endangered historic sites in the state because of this pipeline. So we have tried to be a meeting place. We've had county supervisors as well as state delegates meeting with the community here to be part of the process, to be able to disseminate information as well as to share the many concerns that are weighing on our hearts right now about the danger that this might cause to our community or our environment. Was involved this past back in July in a planting the seeds of resistance. We planted Tugelo corn on a small knoll on some property that adjoins the ridge line that will be scarred by the pipeline if it does come through, and it comes right up to the Appalachian Trail. We are about 7 miles south before the Appalachian Trail crosses Route 42, so we have trail hikers that come through this community all the time who appreciate the beauty and what nature offers here. And we have some of the most pristine water systems in the Appalachians in this area. So we're dealing with some really challenging things. So we planted seeds of resistance and had a water blessing of we brought water in from many of the different creeks and streams and rivers that will be crossed that are threatened by the MVP to bless them and to ask for their safety and to offer these things up to God that we might be part of protecting them and caring for them and being good stewards of them along the way. We have a session with DEQ actually just right down the street at the Newport Recreation Center here at 1 o'clock today. So I'll be leaving the conference call from here to go down to that to speak there and to also try to be a presence of the faith community with the folks who gather there who are struggling with, again, the anger and some of the challenges that this has offered us into our community. So I want to be available for what questions you might have, and it's been a tough fight when I think about what Northern Virginia folks might be able to do to help us. Certainly prayer is one of the biggest things you can do, but as far as I think practical things, praying for endurance. This is a long haul. This is a long fight. The companies have deeper pockets than we do. It takes a lot of spaghetti suppers and bake sales to be able to pay for legal representation and whatnot to be able to oppose this thing and to do our best to throw whatever obstacles we can in its path legally. And it's a lot of hard work, and people are weary from 3 years of fighting this out. So I think part of our job as a church is to inspire and to remind and to be that place for the long haul, to encourage folks and to remind people that they're not alone in this fight together, and that God's creation is bigger than anything that we can imagine. So that's kind of where we are on this, and I certainly would love to hear, as we get to that point, after we hear from Reverend Wilson, what things that he's working with in his community there in Buckingham. And I will say I served the church in Buckingham early in my ministry, so I know that area well, too, and think about those folks working in that area against that particular pipeline as well. So I think we all have common shared interests in all of this.
Thank you. So we just heard from Reverend Fleischer, whose community is in the pathway of the Mountain Valley Pipeline, and next we're going to hear from, as you heard, we're going to hear from Reverend Paul Wilson, whose community is in the path of the proposed Atlantic Coast Pipeline. Reverend Paul, make sure you're not muted because we don't hear you right now.
Okay, I got
Here you go.
Good morning.
Yep.
Good afternoon. I'm Pastor Paul Wilson, pastor of Union Hill, Union Road Baptist Churches in Buckingham County, Virginia. One church with 2 locations, and I'm the senior pastor there. I've been serving for about 19 years. And we are in the direct path of the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. We're about at the halfway mark with the proposed compressor station unit 3, which will be less than a mile from our church. in the heart of our community. Both of our churches are together with two locations, walk through the woods or the way to profiles, about a half a mile. And by the highway, we're exactly 1 mile apart. We've been fighting this thing for 3 years now, just about 3 years, and Reverend Fleischer, all those things that you stated are so true. We've been going through the same scenario, the same situations, the same basic fight. I want to see if I can keep this to 10 minutes or less, but I was reflecting on everything that we have been through. I wanted to say that the whole process of the pipelines, and also I've discovered that I'm an environmentalist in these last couple of years, but the whole process of dealing with the pipeline and speaking up against it and taking the avenues which we have taken, we found it to be that it's a systematic overreach of big business, and it is deliberately overpowering to the small and to the rural communities. The total process is flawed, and it is overwhelmingly and disproportionately, it supports big business. It's purposely designed to overpower and to manipulate the little guy. And I'm going to speak in simple terms, and because I'm hoping that this is being recorded, and I just want to be as plain about this as I can, and speak really in simple terms. I found this whole process to be extremely time-consuming. I'm spending anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week above and beyond my pastoral duties, and I also own several businesses in Southside Virginia, and it has gotten to be time-consuming. I found in this ongoing struggle that the faith community is simply considered irrelevant. That we're speaking from faith-based issues, and it's not tangible to those who are not of faith. I've discovered that politicians have been bought off, or they've been paid for, or that the politicians have been compromised. And even after stating their positions, they're putting into a position where if they really want to change, that they hurt themselves politically simply by having a change of mind. Poor communities and areas are divided, and they're destroyed. People are dehumanized, and communities are destabilized. When we've tried to bring outside experts to voice our concerns, they're dismissed, not given the opportunity to speak. They're considered irrelevant, often presented as crooks or disenfranchised persons or fanatics or alarmists. And I found this to be the approach that big business has taken to promulgate the agenda. The propaganda of big business is just overpowering. It's professionally scripted. It's hyped. And they deal expertly with the term that I use. It's called the veracity of truth. They present their position and make it so well that any other position is simply unattainable. I found that the Atlantic Coast Pipeline and most of these ventures, coal ash, water pollution, all of this stuff, that the public is left to bear the cost. In the case of the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, the rate holders that will be experiencing all the costs, whether this thing fails, whether it goes up in smoke, whatever. But it is the rate holder who will bear the cost, not the stockholder, but the million. But the all about money, and it's all about wealth, and it's all about power. I find it coincidental that on the list of things that President Trump has wanted to do in his administration, I believe that the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, along with the Mountain Valley Pipeline, was number 50, I believe, on his list out of 100 of things that he wanted to accomplish. And so it's about people making money off of the backs of the common man. I don't believe, and from what I've discovered, that the long-term moral and social, the health, the environmental, the economic concerns are not adequately addressed, or they're not addressed in its entirety. This thing has taken a lot of time. There's been a lot of pressure. I've been arrested for civil disobedience, simply for speaking out, simply for standing ground. Our church is a historic African-American church. We've been in existence since about around 1869, 1870. And it's a historic community, and where the proposed compressor station in Buckingham County, Virginia, 80+% of the surrounding property owners are minorities. And these people are, we're elderly, have health issues already. And these things are not even taken into consideration. I believe that the whole project was targeted for our area because it was considered probably the path of least resistance. I think they've been surprised. I want to say that also, if it had not been for other environmental groups and like-minded people, I wish I could take time to just name all of these people, but Friends of Buckingham, Friends of Nelson, the group that's sponsoring this forum today, the Sierra Club, our friends over at a place called Yogaville, and other like-minded persons. If it had not been for these people, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we would have perished. We would have been dismissed, and we would have simply capitulated to the surmounting pressure that we've been receiving. We've been ostracized, and just what you have to go through. But the total process, and I have to say this again, this whole process of presenting pipelines, compressor stations, and lack concerns, the whole process is flawed. And it supports big business. It's a systematic overreach of what big business is. You got to have a chance. This desire for people who speak out against such tensions to simply capitulate, fall to the wayside. I guess that wrap up the basic thing that I want to say about what's going on. But it's very time consuming. And the time consuming and the cost. We're a small church. We have about 225, 250 members, but that's what's on the roll book, of course. But our active membership is much smaller. And we just don't have the finances to really fight what we have to fight. Later today, I'm going to a DEQ hearing in Farmville, Virginia. And I have to be there around 4 o'clock. I'm about 45 minutes away. But it just takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of dedication. A lot of my people are getting weary. Weary. Dominion Power, by the way, they act as though they already have everything under control. They act as though, since my direct confrontation has mainly been with Dominion Power, or Dominion Energy, as it's now known, they just act like this is just a process for them. They already have the life. They act as though they're going to get what they want. lamb. They're not really concerned, as far as I see, they're not really concerned about the long-term effects about health issues in the area. It leads me to the opinion that one business supports another business. And for example, health issues supports the medical and the pharmaceutical business. All of the stuff is interlinked. And, I could go into what the Bible says. But I guess that was fun. And we're not here for my sermon now. But these are things that we're...
I'd love to hear that sermon sometime. But I think you have about another 1 minute.
Well, no, I'm going to let that minute go. But I just cherish every moment that I get to stand up. I've been up and down the coast speaking, and I've been involved in several different groups. It started out where I was being introduced to environmental concerns. I've now graduated. I think I'm working now towards, I've gone past 101, 202, 303. That kind of thing. I think I'm now working on an advanced degree in this. I've learned a whole lot, and it has really shaped my thoughts about concerns and my passion about the environment.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.